My boss, my love. Chapter 1, Late Night Overtime. His tie brushed my neck. 9 o'clock in the evening. The entire CBD skyscraper had long shed the noise and bustle of daylight, leaving only a few scattered lights dotted against the dark exterior. Inside the sprawling marketing department floor, only my desk and Ethan Sterling's remained illuminated by cold white overhead light, stretching our shadows long across the polished tile floor. The silence was so complete that the crisp tapping of keyboards echoed sharply in the empty space. My name is Lila Moore. I graduated from university just 2 years ago, working as a marketing specialist at one of the most prestigious real estate firms in the city. My salary was barely enough to cover rent, groceries, and the occasional subway fare, leaving me drowning day after day in endless reports, data sheets, presentation slides, and meeting minutes. I was the definition of invisible small, quiet cog in a massive, unforgiving corporate machine. Ethan Sterling, however, was anything but invisible. He'd arrived 3 months prior, handpicked and parachuted into the role of marketing director, and from day one, he'd become the company's most talked about enigma, the expert boss, the celibate suit god, the man every female colleague whispered about but never dared to approach. At just 30 years old, Ethan held an MBA from a top-tier global university, his professional resume so impressive it made senior executives double-take. He dressed exclusively in perfectly tailored high-end suits, black, charcoal gray, crisp white, always pressed to absolute perfection, not a single crease or thread out of place. Gold-rimmed glasses rested on his strong, straight nose, masking the emotions in his eyes, leaving only his sharp, sculpted jawline and full, stern lips visible. His entire presence radiated a cold, unapproachable energy that screamed, "Do not disturb. Do not waste my time." Women in the office coined endless nicknames for him behind his back. Walking iceberg, Sterling the strict, the tyrant director. No one dared step within 3 meters of his desk, let alone strike up a casual conversation. He spoke in short, precise sentences, never wasting a single word, and when he criticized work, he did so without mercy. His gaze could turn icy enough to make even the most confident employee freeze up, fumbling over words and turning pale. And yet, I was the one person who had no choice but to stay close. Because I was his personal assistant. I earned the salary of a standard entry-level specialist, but I carried the workload of 2, sometimes 3 people. Every morning, I arrived a full 30 minutes early to straighten his desk, organize his files, and brew a perfectly temperature-controlled Americano black, no sugar, exactly how he liked it. All day, I trailed him from meeting room to meeting room, scribbling notes, revising every plan he disapproved of, double-checking every data set until my eyes burned. At night, I stayed late to work overtime with him, unable to leave until he finally gathered his things and exited the building. Sometimes, I felt less like a professional assistant and more like a personal caretaker. I smoothed his wrinkled shirt cuffs when he was too busy to notice, reminded him of back-to-back appointments so he wouldn't double book, and silently ordered light, healthy business meals when he skipped lunch entirely, absorbed in work. Tonight was no exception. The quarterly presentation PowerPoint had consumed the entire department for an entire week. Everyone looked exhausted, dark circles hanging under their eyes, and by evening, most had finally clocked out. Only I remained, glued to my screen, forcing my tired eyes to focus. The dense walls of numbers and charts blurred together, making my eyes water and my head throb. My fingers ached from constant typing, my shoulders felt stiff and heavy, as if filled with lead, and I could barely summon the energy to lift my head. Just as I rubbed my stinging eyes, trying to make out the final row of figures, a deep, magnetic, faintly cold voice sounded directly behind me, so close it felt like it brushed my ear. This data is incorrect. Third quarter conversion rate is not 18.7%. It's 16.2%. I jolted violently, my entire body tensing. The mouse in my hand nearly flew across the desk. My heart slammed against my ribs, jumping straight to my throat. I turned around stiffly, only to realize Ethan had been standing behind me without my noticing. He leaned forward slightly, much too close. Warm breath accidentally brushed the tip of my ear, carrying a clean, sharp scent of cedar soap, mixed with a faint, subtle whiff of tobacco. The aroma flooded my senses, instantly locking my muscles tight, robbing me of my ability to breathe normally. His long, defiant hand reached out, fingertips gently tapping the wrong number glowing on my screen. His fingers were elegant and neat, nails trimmed short and clean, pads covered in thin calluses, marks from years of holding pens and typing relentlessly. He was simply too close. He wore a dark gray silk tie that day, soft and smooth. As he leaned over me, it brushed lightly, accidentally, against the side of my neck. Soft. Cool. Like a single, gentle feather grazing my most sensitive skin, sending a shiver racing down my spine, raising a fine layer of goosebumps across my arms. I froze completely, unable to move. The tips of my ears turned bright red at a visible speed, flashing all the way down my cheeks, burning hot enough to scare me. I bit my lower lip hard, afraid to make a sound, breathing as softly as humanly possible, terrified he would notice how wildly my heart was pounding. Correct it. Send it to me in 10 minutes. I'll wait. He straightened up, his tone still flat and emotionless, as if he'd just commented on the weather. With that, he turned and walked away, his steps steady and calm, long legs wrapped in tailored suit pants moving with quiet confidence. In a few strides, he reached his private glass office, reached up, and pulled the door gently shut, sealing himself off from the rest of the world and yanking me back to reality from that dizzying, overwhelming touch. I covered my burning ears and slumped back in my chair, heart hammering so hard I thought it might burst through my chest. Against my will, my gaze drifted upward to his office. Warm lamplight spilled over him as he sat behind his white ebony desk, removing his gold-rimmed glasses and rubbing his temples slowly with his fingertips. Without the glasses, his facial features stood out sharply long, dark lashes casting small shadows under his eyes, his jawline strong and perfect. The usual coldness in his expression softened slightly, replaced by a hint of tiredness and quiet exhaustion. In that moment, I stared, completely lost. I quickly dropped my head, forcing my focus back to the numbers. But my mind was a mess, replaying only one thing: the soft brush of his tie against my neck, the clean cedar scent of his clothes, the warmth of his breath so near my skin. It lingered, refusing to fade. Damn it. I'd been secretly in love with my boss for exactly 3 months. From the very first day he arrived at the company, dressed in a sharp black suit, standing at the front desk, taking the ID badge I handed him, and whispering a quiet thank you in that single second, I'd fallen completely. I knew it was forbidden. Office romance was a strict, non-negotiable red line at the company. If our relationship ever came to light, I would almost certainly be fired, my career destroyed before it even began. I knew he was cold and distant to everyone, his mind only on work, incapable of seeing an ordinary assistant like me as anything more than a tool. I knew we lived in entirely different worlds. He was the powerful, high-ranking director. I was a lowly, overworked clerk. We should never have crossed paths. But I couldn't control my heart. Every morning, when he walked into the office, my pulse sped up without warning. Every time he said my name, I felt a flutter of nervous excitement mixed with fear. When I watched him focus deeply on his work, I couldn't help but steal extra glances, drinking in the sight of him. This hidden crush was humble, fragile, and terrified of exposure like a seed growing in darkness, afraid to see the light, yet twisting and spreading wildly inside me anyway. 30 minutes later, I triple-checked the revised PowerPoint, confirmed every number was perfect, and sent it to his email. Then, my stomach twisting with anxiety, I stood up and knocked lightly on the glass door of his office. "Come in," his deep voice answered from inside. I pushed the door open and stepped in, my palms sweating, my voice barely a whisper. "Mr. Sterling, the presentation is revised. I've sent it to your email. Place it there." He didn't look up, his fingers flying across the keyboard, his gaze locked on the screen, clearly absorbed in something critical. I set the tablet gently on the corner of his desk and turned immediately, desperate to escape this suffocating space. But in the exact second I turned, my wrist was caught by a warm, large hand. His palm was broad, temperature higher than mine, rough calluses brushing my skin. His grip wasn't harsh, but it held a quiet, unshakable control, freezing me in place instantly. I whipped my head around, crashing directly into his deep, dark eyes. Without his glasses, the usual distance and coldness had vanished. His gaze held a dark, intense light, like a bottomless frozen lake, staring straight through me, as if he could see every secret I'd buried deep in my chest. "Are you truly that afraid of me?" he murmured, his tone carrying a lazy, playful edge I'd never heard before. "Every time you speak to me, you flinch. You look like you want to run away immediately." I didn't mean to," I stammered, my cheeks so hot I could fry an egg, too nervous to form complete sentences. I didn't want to disturb your work." He chuckled softly. The sound was low, husky, and magnetically warm like a feather brushing my heart, weakening my entire body. "Lila." He spoke my name slowly, deliberately, his gaze never leaving mine. "You're blushing." I ripped my hand away as if burned, stepping backward, nearly fleeing the room. "Mr. Sterling, I'll return to my work now." The moment the door closed behind me, I saw it clearly, a small, genuine smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. Not the professional, cold politeness he used with colleagues. Not the strict seriousness he reserved for work. A real, playful, knowing smile. Back at my desk, I collapsed forward onto my arms, my heart still pounding out of control. The warm feeling of his hand wrapped around my wrist lingered on my skin, hot, tingly, impossible to ignore. I secretly touched my neck with my fingers, swearing I could still feel the softness of his silk tie, still smell his clean, cedar scent in the air. I was done for. Not only was I hopelessly in love with him, he'd seen right through me. Chapter 2, trapped in the elevator, just the two of us. The next morning, I sprinted into the building at the last possible second, deliberately arriving 10 minutes later than usual, all to avoid Ethan. The second I stepped into the marketing floor, I ducked my head and rushed straight to my desk, threw my bag down, and pretended to bury myself in paperwork, refusing to lift my eyes even once. When he walked into his office, I stared rigidly at my screen, not daring to glance in his direction, not even from the corner of my eye. When he buzzed for coffee, I made it quickly, delivered it in a hurry, set the cup down, and fled without a word. During the department meeting that morning, I kept my head bowed the entire time, staring at a blank page in my notebook, too scared to meet his gaze even for a split second. My co-workers noticed immediately. Chloe, who sat beside me, nudged my elbow secretly and whispered, "Lila, what's wrong with you today? You're so distracted. Did Mr. Sterling scold you? I saw you working overtime with him until really late last night." I could only force a bitter, shaky smile and shake my head. "No. I just didn't sleep well. I'm tired." I wished he had scolded me. At least then I wouldn't be trapped in this torturous limbo, nervous, hopeful, desperate to be near him, yet terrified to look at him, torn apart by forbidden feelings I couldn't control. 6 o'clock in the evening. Rush hour. I packed my bag the second the clock hit 6, shut down my computer, and slung my bag over my shoulder, wishing I could sprout wings and fly out of the building. I just wanted to escape while Ethan was still buried in work, to run away from him, from the tension, from the way he made my chest feel tight and warm. Unfortunately, life had other plans. I just rushed into the elevator, pressed the button for the lobby, and watched the doors begin to slide shut when a deep, clear voice called out from behind, "Hold the door." It was Ethan Sterling. I panicked, slamming the door open button. The elevator doors slid slowly open again. He stepped inside, still carrying that sharp, clean cedar scent, his suit immaculate, his posture tall and unshakable. He naturally moved to the corner of the elevator, standing directly beside me. In that tiny, enclosed space, only the two of us existed. The silence was suffocating, so thick you could almost touch it. The only sound was the faint mechanical hum of the elevator rising, echoing softly in the small box. I pressed myself against the elevator wall, trying to shrink into nothing, curling into the farthest corner, desperate to put as much distance between us as possible. But the elevator was tiny no matter how far I moved. We were still less than a meter apart. His scent flooded my nose anyway, sending my heart spiraling out of control once more. I stared fixedly at the changing numbers on the panel. 1, 2, 3. Every floor felt like an eternity. I prayed silently inside my head. Hurry, hurry, reach the lobby. Let me escape this awkward, burning space. Just as the elevator reached the 10th floor. Bang! The car jolted violently, as if struck by something heavy. The lights above flickered twice, and went out completely. The elevator stopped abruptly, stuck between floors, motionless. Darkness swallowed us whole. I screamed in terror, lurching forward instinctively, crashing straight into a hard, warm chest. My nose slammed into his solid muscle, stinging sharply, but the next second, an overwhelming wave of safety wrapped around me. His chest was broad and firm, and through his thin dress shirt, I could feel the steady, calm rhythm of his heartbeat, a stark contrast to my own wild, panicked pulse. A warm, strong hand immediately wrapped around my waist, holding me steady. His grip was perfect, not too tight, not too loose, keeping me from falling without crossing a line. "Don't be afraid." His voice sounded in the dark, deeper, gentler than usual, like a calming drug. "It's only a power outage. The elevator has safety locks. It won't fall." I trembled in his arms, clinging tightly to the edge of his suit jacket, afraid to let go. In darkness, human senses sharpened to an unbearable degree. I could smell his scent so clearly it made my head spin. I could feel the steady rise and fall of his chest as he breathed. I could sense the firm, defined lines of his muscles beneath his clothes. My face pressed against him, and I wanted to vanish into the floor, my ears burning hot enough to ignite. "And Mr. Sterling," I whispered, my voice cracking slightly, begging him to release me. "I am okay now. You can let go." He didn't release me immediately. Instead, he bowed his head slightly, warm breath brushing gently over the top of my head, carrying a dizzying, intimate heat. "Lila." He spoke my name softly, his voice low, edged with a quiet huskiness. "You smell wonderful, Gardenia." I froze entirely, blood rushing to my head so fast I felt lightheaded. He smelled it. I used an ordinary, cheap body lotion from the drugstore, faint, subtle gardenia scent, barely noticeable unless you were inches away. I barely noticed it myself. But he picked it up instantly. In the dark, I couldn't see his expression. I could only feel his hand on my waist tighten slightly, pulling me gently closer to him. "You avoided me all day," he continued, his tone holding a faint, almost childish complaint. "From morning until now. You wouldn't look at me. You wouldn't speak to me. Why?" "I didn't avoid you," I mumbled defensively, my voice tiny. "I was just very busy with work. Too busy to look at me." He chuckled, the sound rich with amusement. "Too busy for one normal conversation." I had no reply. He was too intelligent, too perceptive. My clumsy, obvious attempts to hide were completely transparent to him. I couldn't fool him, not even for a second. Just as I was about to die of embarrassment, the lights above flickered back on with a sharp click. Blinding light flooded the elevator. The car jolted and began moving downward again. I tore away from him like a frightened rabbit, scrambling to the farthest corner, my back pressed against the cold metal wall, my face flaming red, my head bowed, staring fixedly at my shoes, too ashamed to look at him. Ethan stood calmly, adjusting his suit jacket slowly, his eyes fixed on me with a clear, warm smile. His gaze was direct, intense, gentle, and deep. It made my heart race, my entire body growing hot. The elevator reached the lobby quickly, doors sliding open. I practically ran out, not even bothering to say goodbye or goodnight, fleeing the building as if chased, desperate to escape the humiliation. Behind me, his low, warm laugh followed me into the street, clear and unmistakable. Lila, don't avoid me tomorrow. My steps faltered. My cheeks burned even hotter. But I didn't turn around. I just walked faster, disappearing into the evening crowd. Chapter 3. His obvious favor the entire office noticed. After the elevator incident, Ethan was no longer the same man. He abandoned the cold, unapproachable expert director act entirely and began treating me with a special attention so obvious. The entire office noticed within days. Every morning, the second I arrived at my desk, a hot latte waited exactly my favorite, 30% sugar, temperature perfectly warm, not scalding, not cold. Under the cup lay a small sticky note in his strong, neat handwriting, no coffee on empty stomach. Bread on your desk. No one else in the company would do something so thoughtful. No one but Ethan. At noon, while everyone else ordered greasy takeout and ate at their desks, he would appear beside me quietly and say, I ordered a private chef meal. Later. Come eat with me. He gave me no chance to refuse. He simply took my wrist gently and led me into his private office, closing the door behind him, blocking out all curious stares. We sat across from each other on the sofa, eating in peaceful silence. Occasionally, he would place food on my plate, his tone natural and soft. Eat more. You're too thin. In the afternoons, when I grew tired and sleepy from revising plans, nodding off at my desk, he would silently toss a lime-flavored mint in my direction, my absolute favorite, unwrapped, landing perfectly beside my hand. The contrast in meetings was even more impossible to miss. When other employees presented work, even a tiny mistake in numbers or punctuation would make him frown sharply, his words cutting and merciless, leaving workers pale and trembling, too scared to breathe. But when I presented, even when I stuttered from nerves, even when my plan still had small flaws, he listened patiently the entire time, his eyes soft, no trace of impatience. At the end, he would only say gently, very good. Clear logic. Fix the small details. Don't be nervous. No one in the office was blind. The women in marketing surrounded me daily, gossiping excitedly, holding my hands. Lila, you and Mr. Sterling are definitely something. He's so obviously favoring you, it's impossible to miss. Right. Last week I messed up one number and he yelled at me until I cried. You make mistakes all the time and he doesn't even raise his voice. Total double standard. I could only pretend to be calm, shaking my head frantically, acting innocent. You're overthinking it. Mr. Sterling is just strict about work. He treats everyone equally. I'm just lucky. But inside, my heart felt like it was filled with melted candy, sweet, warm, spreading from my chest to my entire body. His favor was too obvious. He didn't need to say it. He didn't need to show off. Everyone could see it. Even Ms. Carter, the older administrative worker, took my hand seriously and said, Lila, I've worked here 20 years. I know men when I see them. Mr. Sterling is a good man, young, successful, handsome, stable, and he looks at you like you hung the moon. Don't let him go. My face burned. I bowed my head, too shy to admit it, but too happy to deny it. Then came the company team building night. All rumors were confirmed. Friday evening, the company rented a luxury KTV lounge. Everyone let loose, drinking, singing, laughing, the atmosphere wild and joyful. A few drinks in, courage flared, and everyone began begging Ethan to sing. Normally, he was too cold and distant for anyone to dare pressure him. But tonight, drunk on excitement, the entire office surrounded him, cheering. "Mr. Sterling, sing for us. Let's hear the boss's voice. Director Sterling, stop being so serious. Show us your talent." Ethan sat on the sofa, frowning slightly, ready to refuse, until his gaze drifted to me. He tilted his chin toward me slightly, his tone soft and unshakable. "Lila, sing with me." In an instant, every eye in the room locked onto me, curious, excited, gossipy. I panicked, my face flushing bright red, waving my hands. "Mr. Sterling, no, I'm terrible. I can't sing at all. I'll be off key." "It's fine." He stood up, took my wrist gently but firmly, and led me to the stage, his voice warm. "I'll guide you. Don't be scared." He chose a slow, gentle love song, soft melody, romantic lyrics. The intro began quietly. He lifted the microphone, looked down at me, his eyes so gentle they seemed to glow. "Slowly I reach you, quietly I love you, all of my tenderness, only for you." His voice was deep, rich, and magnetic, singing every word with soft devotion. The entire time, he never looked away from me, his gaze intense and focused, making my heart race so fast I thought I might faint. My palms were soaked with sweat. I held the second microphone, standing beside him, unable to sing a single note. I just stared at him, completely lost in the warmth of his expression. The entire room fell silent. Everyone watched us, grinning knowingly, no one speaking, no one interrupting. When the song ended, the lounge erupted. "Together! Together! Together! Confess! Confess! Director, tell her!" Ethan set down the microphone, slid his arm gently around my shoulders, pulling me protectively against him, and spoke calmly to the crowd. "No hesitation, no shame, stop cheering. She's shy. I'll take my time. One sentence. I have confession. A public acknowledgement." I leaned against him, my face burning, my heart so full of sweetness I thought it might burst. He was never an iceberg. His gentleness, his favor, his kindness, they were never for everyone, only for me. While I'd secretly loved him from afar, he'd been secretly loving me back. Mutual crush. It was real. Chapter 4, Locked office door. He kissed me. By the time team building ended, it was nearly midnight. Co-workers left one by one. Ethan held my hand tightly and walked me to his car. His black sedan was clean and minimalist inside, filled with his familiar cedar scent. Soft instrumental music played quietly. The atmosphere was warm and intimate. He drove smoothly, his sad face illuminated by streetlights, sharp and beautiful. I sat in the passenger seat, stealing glances at him, my heart glowing. "Lila." He broke the silence first, his tone serious and soft. "What did you think about what everyone said tonight?" My heart jumped. "Nervous," I whispered. What do you mean?" "I love you." He said it directly, no hesitation, no games, his voice firm and sincere. "The first day I saw you at the front desk, you handed me my ID, your face turning red. I remembered that moment for 3 months." I stared at him, eyes wide, completely shocked. He loved me too. From the very first day. I know office romance is against company rules. I know it's risky. He kept his eyes on the road, his voice tinged with helplessness. "But I can't control how I feel. I want to care for you openly. I want to be with you honestly. I'm tired of hiding. He pulled the car slowly into my apartment complex parking lot, turned off the engine, and turned to face me. His eyes deep and full of hope. Lila, be my girlfriend. Okay? Warm streetlights spilled over his face, softening every sharp edge. I looked into his eyes, saw the truth in his expression, and couldn't hold back anymore. I nodded fiercely, tears stinging my eyes. Okay. Yes. I'd been waiting for this. He smiled a bright, genuine, unguarded smile, more beautiful than any I'd ever seen, like ice melting under sunlight. He lifted his hand, gently held my chin, leaned down, and kissed me. His kiss was soft, tender, carrying a faint hint of alcohol and his clean cedar scent. It brushed my lips gently, once, then pulled away, sweet enough to make my heart ache. Good night, girlfriend. He whispered, his eyes overflowing with affection. Blushing, I pushed open the door and ran upstairs, collapsing on my balcony, watching his car drive away, unable to sleep the entire night from happiness. The next day at work, we still kept our distance in public. In the office, no touching, no obvious affection, just professional colleagues focused on work. Only we knew the truth the way our eyes met, the secret smiles, the silent understanding, the love that hung between us like electricity. At noon, he called me on the internal line, his voice neutral, like any work request. Come to my office. Pick up the meeting documents. I pushed the door open. He closed it behind me and turned the lock. A soft click. Loud in the quiet room. My heart skipped. I looked up at him, my face flushing instantly. He stepped closer, bending slightly, pressing me gently against the wall, his hands resting on either side of my body, trapping me in a soft, safe cage. Girlfriend. He bowed his head, his nose brushing mine softly, warm breath fanning my face, his tone almost playful. I haven't spoken to you properly all morning. Did you miss me? My face burned. I whispered, it's work hours, someone might see. It's not professional. No one will see. He chuckled softly and kissed me. This kiss was not gentle or brief. It was deep, hungry, filled with months of suppressed longing and love. His lips were soft, tasting faintly of mint. He kissed me until my knees went weak, until I clung to his suit for balance, completely lost in him. The office was silent except for our soft breathing and pounding hearts. Sunlight poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows, wrapping around us, warm and intimate, time slowing down completely. His hand slid gently around my waist, pulling me closer, holding me tightly against him, as if he never wanted to let go. Only when I could barely breathe did he pull back, his forehead resting against mine, laughing softly, his voice full of affection. Lila, you're so sweet. I buried my face in his chest, too shy to look up, my heart slamming against my ribs. Forbidden office romance. It was sweeter, more thrilling, more perfect than I ever imagined. Secret longing. Open devotion. Mutual love. Every second felt like a dream. Chapter 5. Going public. He defended me against everyone. We dated secretly for 1 month. Every day, we arrived together, laughed together, ate lunch together. We held hands secretly when no one looked, stole kisses in the elevator, hugged in empty stairwells. This forbidden, delicious happiness was addictive. I never wanted it to end. But secrets never stay hidden forever. One noon, Ethan and I were hugging quietly in the pantry when Ms. Jenkins, a bitter older employee from marketing, walked in and caught us red-handed. Ms. Jenkins had hated me for months, jealous of my youth, jealous of Ethan's attention, convinced I'd slept my way into the company. She'd been making my life difficult for ages, assigning me bad tasks, spreading quiet rumors. Now she had proof. She wasn't going to let it go. The next day, the entire company exploded. Rumors, lies, and cruel words flooded toward me. She seduced the boss for promotion. She's useless at work, only good at flirting. She steals other people's projects. She's breaking company rules. Disgraceful. People pointed when I walked by. They whispered in groups. They stared at me with disgust. Someone even sent an anonymous letter to the CEO, demanding I be fired immediately. I was called into the boss's office for an hour-long lecture. When I returned to the floor, my eyes were red, tears held back, my face pale, my heart broken. The second Ethan saw how hurt I was, his face turned to stone. The man who'd been soft and gentle with me only hours before was gone. In his place was a cold, furious stranger, his eyes icy, his entire presence radiating dangerous anger. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Who started these rumors? He stepped toward me, took my hand, his voice cold and deadly. Tell me their names. I shook my head, not wanting to get him in trouble, forcing a weak smile. It's okay. I don't care. Rumors fade. Don't worry about me. I do care. He squeezed my hand tightly, his gaze fierce and protective. You are my girlfriend. We are in a normal, legal relationship. We have done nothing wrong. Anyone who hurts you, anyone who lies about you, I will make them pay. No one touches you. That afternoon, the company held an emergency all-staff meeting. The CEO sat on stage, face dark, ready to scold me, ready to condemn office romance, when Ethan stood up. In his black suit, tall and powerful, he commanded the entire room. He spoke clearly, firmly, his voice echoing through the hall. Lila Moore and I are in a committed, loving relationship. There is no seduction, no cheating, no favoritism. I pursued her. I love her. I plan to spend my life with her. She is an excellent employee. All her projects are earned through hard work. I have never protected her or given her special treatment. Her success is her own. From this day forward, anyone who spreads rumors about her, bullies her, or speaks badly of her will answer to me. You will resign immediately. This company does not tolerate cruelty. The entire room went dead silent. No one could believe it. The cold, distant director Sterling defending me publicly, risking his career, choosing me over everything. Ms. Jenkins sat in the crowd, white-faced, trembling, unable to speak. I stood below the stage, staring at the man who just fought an entire room for me, and burst into tears. Not from sadness. From overwhelming, unbelievable love. He was never an iceberg. He was my protector. My safe place. My forever choice. After the meeting, Ethan rushed to me, wiped my tears gently, his voice soft again, full of concern. Why are you crying? I'm here. No one can hurt you now. I threw my arms around him, clinging to him, sobbing, Ethan, thank you. Silly girl. He held me tightly, his chin resting on my head, his voice warm. Protecting my girlfriend is the only job that matters. Everyone in the company watched. No one dared to whisper. No one dared to judge. From that day on, we no longer hid. At work, he brought me coffee openly. After work, he held my hand proudly. When co-workers saw us, they smiled and joked. Director Sterling picking up your girlfriend again. The forbidden romance became the most beloved, envied love story in the company. Chapter 6, All his tenderness only for me. After going public, Ethan loved me even more openly, fully, and fearlessly. He no longer held back. Every part of his gentleness, patience, and devotion was mine alone. Every morning, he waited outside my apartment 30 minutes early, car always filled with warm breakfast soy milk, fried dough sticks, buns, porridge, never the same thing twice. At night, when we worked overtime, he took over most of my work, letting me rest while he finished, never letting me overwork. When my period came and I writhed in pain, he dropped everything immediately, made me ginger tea with brown sugar, rubbed my stomach gently with his warm hand, staying by my side until I felt better. In front of others, he was still the strict, unsmiling director Sterling. Cold, untouchable. But with me, he was soft, playful, jealous, clingy, and utterly unguarded. Once, a new male coworker joined, friendly, outgoing, always eager to help me carry things, discuss work, ask questions. The second Ethan saw it, he went silent and cold for an entire day, not speaking to me, not looking at me, radiating silent fury. That evening, I held his hand and teased him, Director Sterling, are you jealous? Over a new coworker. He huffed, turning his face away, stubborn, I am not jealous. Sure you aren't. I stood on my tiptoes and whispered in his ear, your face was thunder all day. Everyone noticed. He turned, kissed me hard, possessively, until I was breathless, then pulled back, his voice rough, stay away from him. You're mine. Only I can love you. Only I can touch you. I laughed, my heart bursting, yes, my jealous boss. He smiled too, pecking my lips softly, his voice warm, only jealous for you. Only soft for you. On weekends, he brought me to his home. A spacious, modern penthouse in the city center, minimalist black, white, and gray decor, clean, elegant, perfectly him. He wrapped his arms around me from behind, his chin resting on my shoulder, warm breath against my neck, his voice soft and serious. Lila, this is our home. Ours. Only ours. My heart felt full. I turned and hugged him tightly, nodding, yes. He kissed me slowly, forehead, eyes, nose, lips tender, devoted, full of love. Sunlight streamed through the windows, wrapping around us, warm and perfect. No rules. No rumors. No fear. Only us. Only love. Chapter 7. My boss became my husband. We loved each other faithfully for 1 year. In that year, he spoiled me endlessly, cherished me, protected me, never letting me shed a single tear of pain. I thought happiness couldn't get any better. But I was wrong. On the anniversary of our first date, the same day he joined the company, he took me back to the front desk where we met. The exact spot where I'd handed him his ID. He dropped to one knee, pulled a small, velvet box from his pocket, opened it to reveal a sparkling diamond ring. His eyes were sincere, reverent, as he looked up at me. Lila Moore, from the first moment I saw you, I knew I wanted to spend forever with you. A year ago, I asked you to be my girlfriend. Today, I asked you to be my wife. Marry me. Tears poured down my face. I nodded wildly, sobbing, yes, I do. Our wedding was small, warm, and intimate, only family and close co-workers. Everyone smiled and said, who knew the expert director was such a romantic husband? Office romance turned marriage. This is the dream. Lila is so lucky, loved by the best man in the world. After we married, we still worked at the same company. He was still my boss. I was still his assistant. But now, I was his wife. At work, he remained professional, strict, and fair, no favoritism, no special treatment. At home, he was the sweetest, most caring husband, cooking, massaging my shoulders, watching movies with me, talking about our days, building a life together. People often asked me, aren't you tired of seeing each other every second? Working together, living together, no space. I always smiled and shook my head, no. Because he's Ethan Sterling. He's my person. Being with him every day is the greatest happiness I could ever imagine. Every morning, we walk into the building hand in hand. Every evening, we go home together, cook together, walk under the stars, living a quiet, perfect life. In the office, boss and assistant. At home, husband and wife. What began as a forbidden, secret crush turned into a lifelong love story. No drama. No heartbreak. No betrayal. Only sweetness. Only warmth. Only forever. To the world, he was a powerful, untouchable director. To me, he was home. My boss. My love. My husband. Chapter 8. Office suite after marriage. Marriage didn't change our working dynamic overnight, it softened it. In the quiet, private ways only we could notice. To the entire company, Ethan Sterling was still the rigorous, unyielding marketing director who tolerated zero mistakes. He still front-end flawed reports, corrected messy data with sharp precision, and kept every meeting concise and efficient. No one dared slack off in his presence, and the respectful, distant aura around him never faded in the workplace. But I knew better. I knew the warmth hidden beneath his cold professional shell, the tenderness reserved solely for me. The morning routine shifted subtly after we tied the knot. Before marriage, he'd wait for me outside my apartment, holding a warm breakfast in one hand. Now, we woke up side by side in our penthouse, tangled in soft silk sheets, the first light of sunrise filtering through the floor-to-ceiling windows and gilding his sharp facial features. I was no longer rushing to clock in at the last minute, no longer sneaking glances at him across the office with a racing heart. I got to wake up to him. Every morning, Ethan would wake 10 minutes earlier than me. He never rushed me out of bed. Instead, he propped himself up on one elbow, his dark eyes soft and unguarded, simply watching me sleep. Sometimes he'd brush a strand of messy hair off my forehead, his touch light as a feather, so gentle it never stirred me awake. Only when the alarm was about to ring would he lean down and press a soft, lingering kiss to my cheek, his low voice husky with morning drowsiness. "Wake up, my wife." Those two simple words never failed to make my heart flutter, even months after our wedding. We'd get ready together in the spacious walk-in closet, side by side. He'd fix his tie meticulously, his long fingers moving skillfully over the smooth silk fabric, while I touched up my makeup. More often than not, he'd pause mid-movement, turn to me, and adjust the color of my formal blouse, tucking it neatly into my skirt. His gaze would linger on my face for a long moment, deep and affectionate, before he murmured softly, "So pretty." At the office, we stuck strictly to professional boundaries during working hours. No intimate gestures, no private whispers, no special privileges. I handled my work earnestly, finishing every report and revision with the same care as any other employee, and Ethan evaluated my performance justly, never lowering his standards for me. Still, tiny, hidden acts of pampering slipped through his professional mask every single day. Before marriage, he'd quietly leave my favorite lime mints on my desk when I was tired. Now, he personally refilled my thermos with warm honey water every 2 hours, knowing I always forget to drink water when I'm buried in work. When I had backaches from sitting too long and typing non-stop, he'd find a spare minute in his busy schedule to walk past my desk, pretending to check a document, and quickly press his warm palm to my lower back for a second, a silent, soothing comfort no one else noticed. My colleagues still gushed over our love story non-stop. I still can't believe the coldest director in the company is the most doting husband ever, Chloe whispered to me during lunch break, her eyes full of envy and amusement. Yesterday I saw him take the initiative to help you carry your stack of folders. He never helps anyone with work stuff, not even the senior managers. I smiled softly, flipping through the document in my hand, my heart warm and full. He's just different at home. It was an understatement. Ethan was utterly different with me. The biggest contrast showed during overtime nights. Before we dated, I'd stay late alone with him, nervous and flustered, too scared to break the tense silence. Now, overtime nights were quiet and sweet, filled with unspoken warmth. Last Tuesday, the entire department had to stay late to rush a crucial annual marketing plan. The office was full of the crisp tapping of keyboards, everyone buried in their work, exhausted and focused. I'd been staring at dense data charts for hours, my eyes stinging badly, my head throbbing with fatigue. I rubbed my temples tiredly, my shoulders stiff and sore. A minute later, a warm cup of hot milk was placed gently beside my keyboard. I looked up, and Ethan was standing beside my desk, his tall figure blocking the cold office light. His expression was still calm and professional, his gaze sweeping over my screen as if inspecting my work, but his voice was lowered to a soft murmur only I could hear. Drink it. Don't strain your eyes too much. Leave the final data sorting to me later. I blinked up at him, my heart softening. But you have more work than I do. I can finish it myself. He bent down slightly, his warm breath brushing my ear faintly, his tone gentle and firm. You're my wife. I don't let my wife exhaust herself for work. The colleagues sitting nearby didn't hear his words, but they saw the subtle tenderness in his eyes when he looked at me, an emotion he never showed to anyone else. They exchanged knowing grins, quietly whispering among themselves, clearly used to the director's exclusive favor toward me. True to his word, after midnight, when everyone else clocked out and left, Ethan stayed back alone to finish the rest of my work. I sat beside him, watching his focused sad profile, the golden lamplight softening his sharp jawline, making him look less stern and more warm. Ethan, I called softly. He turned his head to look at me immediately, his cold eyes melting into softness the second they landed on my face. Aren't you tired? I asked, reaching out to gently rub the tight muscles at the back of his neck. He leaned slightly into my touch, closing his eyes for a brief second, a faint, content smile tugging at his lips. Not when I'm with you. After finishing all the work, he packed up our things, took my hand naturally, and walked out of the empty office together. The night wind outside was cool and soft, brushing against our faces. He wrapped his suit jacket around my shoulders tightly, holding my hand in his warm palm, his steps slow and leisurely. Let's go home, he said softly. Those two words, go home, were the sweetest sentence in the world to me. Chapter 9. His jealousy is always sweet. Ethan Sterling, the cold, calm, unflappable marketing director who never showed any superfluous emotion at work, was surprisingly jealous when it came to me. His jealousy was never petty or aggressive. It was quiet, subtle, and ridiculously sweet, wrapped in his reserved personality, only visible to me. A week later, our company cooperated with a well-known external design team on a new project. The lead designer, a gentle, elegant young man named Lila, was polite and professional, always meticulous and patient when communicating work details with me. We had to hold multiple daily meetings to discuss project modifications, sorting out design drafts and adjusting marketing plans together. Every time we talked, we focused purely on work, no extra chat, no ambiguous interaction. I never thought much of it, treating it as a normal business collaboration. But Ethan noticed. He never interrupted our work communication, never made unreasonable troubles, and never showed his unhappiness in front of others. He maintained his perfect, calm director image all the time. But I could feel the subtle change in his mood the second we were alone. On Thursday afternoon, Leo and I discussed the final version of the design plan at my desk for nearly half an hour. We talked and laughed slightly over a trivial work detail, the atmosphere relaxed and smooth. I didn't notice that Ethan had been standing by the door of his private office, watching us silently for a long time. When Leo finished the discussion, waved goodbye to me, and left the marketing floor, Ethan's cold voice sounded behind me. The plan is settled. I turned around, nodding with a smile. Yes, all details are confirmed. The project can start officially next week. He walked slowly toward me, his tall figure casting a faint shadow over me. His expression was calm, but his eyes were dim, lacking their usual softness. He stared at me quietly for a few seconds, then asked in a flat tone, "You laughed a lot with him just now." I was stunned for a second, then instantly realized he was jealous. I couldn't help but laugh, reaching out to hook my fingers around his tie, tugging it gently. "Director Sterling, are you jealous?" He pursed his thin lips, looking away slightly, pretending to be indifferent. No. Work communication is normal. His stubborn denial was so obvious it was cute. I stood on my tiptoes, leaning close to his ear, my voice soft and teasing. But you look unhappy. Your eyes are sour. He finally looked back at me, his cold gaze melting into helplessness. He wrapped one arm around my waist, pulling me close to him in the empty office corridor, his voice low and possessive. I don't like you laughing so happily at other men. It's just work, I cooed softly, patting his chest gently. He's just a cooperative partner. I only laugh like this with you. He stared down at me, his dark eyes deep and earnest. Lila, you're mine. Every smile, every happy moment of yours should belong only to me. There was no overbearing dominance in his words, only sincere unease and exclusive love. My heart softened completely. I leaned up to kiss his tight lips lightly. I know. I only have you. His tense body relaxed instantly. He bowed his head deeply, kissing me softly and lingeringly, the jealousy in his heart fading little by little, replaced by endless tenderness. That night, when we got home, he was extra clingy. He refused to let me leave his side for even a minute. While I was cooking in the kitchen, he leaned against the door frame, staring at me silently. While I was watching a movie on the sofa, he pulled me into his arms, holding me tightly, his chin resting on my head. I stroked his hair and smiled. You're really childish when you're jealous. He hugged me tighter, his voice muffled and soft. Only childish for you. Only possessive of you. Chapter 10, Forever Warm, Forever Us. Many people around us once said that office couples are easy to tire of each other. Working together and living together leaves no personal space, and the passion of love will fade quickly after marriage. But Ethan and I never had that problem. Our life was plain and trivial, no exaggerated romantic plots, no earth-shattering twists, but every ordinary day was filled with delicate warmth. On working days, we were the most professional boss and assistant. He taught me how to analyze data accurately, how to polish project plans perfectly, how to handle workplace problems calmly and properly. Under his guidance, I grew rapidly from a new, inexperienced marketing specialist to a mature, capable core employee, no longer the timid, flustered little assistant who was afraid of making mistakes. He was my mentor at work, guiding me to grow and progress step by step. At night and on weekends, he was my most loving husband, spoiling me without bottom line. He would learn to cook all my favorite dishes patiently, remember every small preference of mine, tolerate all my petty tempers, and accompany me through every trivial day. One rainy weekend evening, we stayed at home alone. The rain pattered softly on the window, the room was warm and quiet, filled with the faint cedar scent on his body. We lay side by side on the sofa, watching a slow romantic movie. Halfway through the movie, I turned my head to look at Ethan. His sad face was quiet and gentle, the coldness in his bones completely gone, leaving only soft tranquility. I suddenly asked softly, Ethan, do you regret choosing me? Choosing an office romance, giving up your cold single life, and having to take care of me all the time? He turned off the TV, turned to face me, and held my hand tightly, his eyes serious and sincere. Never regret. Meeting you is the luckiest thing in my life. Before I met you, my life was only work. Every day was repetitive, cold, and boring. I had no desires, no concerns, no warmth. But you appeared. You let me know what it's like to look forward to every tomorrow, what it's like to have someone to cherish, what it's like to have a home. He leaned down, pressing a gentle kiss on my forehead, his voice soft and hoarse, full of endless affection. I used to be an iceberg with no temperature. You are the only sunshine that melts me. You are my only love, my only home, my whole life. Tears welled up in my eyes instantly. I threw my arms around his neck, hugging him tightly, my heart filled with overwhelming happiness and satisfaction. What started as a secret, forbidden crush in the office has now become a lifelong companionship. I fell in love with my boss at first sight in the bustling workplace. Now, my boss is my lover, my husband, my lifelong reliance. He is rigorous and cold in front of outsiders, but tender and clingy only to me. He protects me from all gossip and malice, spoils me with all his tenderness, and accompanies me through every ordinary and beautiful day. The world sees his glory and sternness. I see his tenderness and sincerity. My boss, my exclusive love, my forever husband. Our sweet story never ends.